Welcome back to the Tech Will Save Us podcast. I'm your host, Callum. Now, when you think of Yorkshire, you might think of Yorkshire puddings, Sean Bean, or the oldest football club in the world. But space? Maybe not. Well, I'm joined by two people who think that maybe you should be speaking about space in Yorkshire. Joined by Felix and Christina from Space Hub Yorkshire. Welcome.
Thanks very much.
Do you want to start then by sort of just giving a bit of an introduction, like sort of who you are, what you do at Space Hub Yorkshire? Starting with you, maybe, Felix.
Yeah, sure. So, Felix Barr. I am previously an international trade advisor, worked with the civil service for about 3.5 years, and then saw this opportunity with Space Hub Yorkshire come up to support the development of the ecosystem. So I'm a cluster development manager, and kind of jumped at the opportunity, really. I thought it sounded really interesting, very up and coming in terms of the space sector, and you can't really get further away from Earth than the space sector, so took the opportunity and kind of 3-4 months into the role now.
Great stuff. How about you, Christina?
Yeah, so I'm Christina Smith. I'm the space technology lead for Space Hub Yorkshire, and kind of conversely, I've actually gradually come towards the Earth over my career. So I started in astrophysics, kind of looking at the evolution of small stars, planetary sciences, Mars, and I was a member of the science operations team for the Curiosity rover, and have eventually come a little bit more down to Earth now. So that's me.
Fantastic. Well, it's really good to have you both on. Do you want to just give a bit of a summary for people who don't know what Space Hub Yorkshire is and sort of what your sort of priorities are and that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So Space Hub Yorkshire is one of the official clusters commissioned by the UK Space Agency to help develop and unlock space opportunities in the Yorkshire region. The UK Space Agency kind of realised that all the talent was centred down south and it wasn't a level playing field, so we've been formed since 2020. We aim to unlock opportunities for higher education, universities and industry within the Yorkshire and Humber region.
Yeah, and generally just promote and grow the space sector right here in Yorkshire.
Yeah, keep it in Yorkshire.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Can you give an exact sort of a brief, summary of some of the collaborations that have been successful for you guys in the last couple of years?
Yeah, so a big focus on my role is working with 12 Yorkshire universities. They're essentially our partners within the region. So that's right the way over to Hull. And recently we've been working very closely with various universities to promote their capabilities to industry. They really want to work more with companies to develop research projects. And so we've done a lot of work with Bradford University and AI through their Rendutjintala Centre.
Well,
yeah, it's not the easiest word to say, and yeah, I'd say it first. So. But kind of promoting that to companies to get involved with, to commission research projects, and through that they've been able to create some undergraduate courses for the students. So it's been really good at, again, keeping that talent in Yorkshire, making sure it kind of stays here to develop the economy, but also develop the space sector.
And something that I'm working on is a project called Green Space, which is a project at the intersection of Earth observation, meaning satellite data, satellite imagery, and the agricultural sector and the green finance sector. So ways that we can use satellite data to kind of improve, that can be introduced into those sectors or increase the uptake of satellite data in those sectors in Yorkshire, and then eventually wider.
Then the world.
Then the world.
What are the biggest, from that perspective, and what are the biggest challenges that you guys kind of come across? I mean, I've been lucky to go to a couple of your events. It seems a lot less bureaucratic and a lot less red tape, but I might be wrong there. Is that the case?
That's certainly the impression we like to. No, it's. I think because there's so many moving parts, sometimes communication can be the biggest barrier to some of these initiatives and successes. And I guess a massive part of our job is smoothing out those lines, so making it easier for companies to connect with universities with companies, but also for students to understand the opportunities within the space sector in Yorkshire. So again, part of what I've been doing is getting key points of contact for the universities from each one so that people know who directly to go to instead of kind of sending a blanket email to the inquiries office and getting nowhere. So that's one of the main barriers that I've found.
I would say part of it is also just saying, there are space-based companies here in Yorkshire already. So it's something to just keep shouting about, saying that we're here, the space sector is here in Yorkshire, and it's doing a lot of exciting things.
It's that awareness piece, isn't it? Getting that message out, I suppose.
Absolutely. I was at a careers fair in Hull yesterday, and so many of the students were coming up to our stand and saying, I had no idea you guys exist. Well, part of that's because we are only a couple of years old, but also it's just getting that engagement out there. And as we said, we're fairly new to the role. So now we're on the ground doing the engagement and the outreach. It's a lot easier to get the message across. But we did a mapping exercise and identified over 370 space-related businesses in Yorkshire. So it just shows that the capability is there. It's just getting that messaging across and communicating.
Yeah, and also kind of backwards, what we're also doing is making sure that those kind of companies, those industries, those businesses in the region know about opportunities from UK Space Agency, for example, funding opportunities to develop either new products or new technology, that kind of thing. So making sure that those connections are there and those opportunities are raised.
It blows my mind that, as you say, there are over 300 businesses that are directly linked with the UK or the Yorkshire space sector. And when you sort of think of space, when I think of space, you think of rockets and shuttles. But can you just touch on sort of what are those industries doing then? Are they all sort of directly, are they making rockets, or what are they up to?
Yeah, there's actually quite a wide variety. So the space sector spreads up further than you may think. So satellite communications and communications in general is a really big area of kind of our capability here in Yorkshire. Robotics and their applications are also a big kind of sector. One that I kind of work on is satellite data, Earth observation, and that actually has applications throughout a whole host of things. And if you think about in daily life, like your mobile phone, that's, if you're using GPS, that's constantly kind of communicating with satellites. If you, there are some applications to infrastructure. So if you're looking for a leaky pipe, for example, you can use satellite data to identify where that is. There's been a few pilot projects, one in Yorkshire. You could also use it to detect gas leaks, for example, from space. So the applications are really, really far-reaching. And yeah, in Yorkshire, it's across all of those that I've mentioned.
Brilliant, yeah. You have to put me in touch with my plumber then about the leaky pipes. It doesn't seem to detect them quick enough. You sort of touched on some of the projects that you got coming up. Have you got anything else sort of planned for the next sort of few years that's exciting that you want to tell people about?
Yeah, so we're in the process of applying for funding for an initiative we've named Space North, and that's essentially to receive funding from the UK Space Agency to develop a northern capability across obviously the north. So that encompasses Space Hub Yorkshire, Space Northwest and Space Northeast as well. So essentially like a mini northern powerhouse, if you like, but focusing on the space sector. And what that will aim to do is map the northern region's capabilities in terms of resilient communications companies, create that attractive foreign direct investment offer, and hopefully secure some FDI through events, kind of facilitating engagements, working with the local authorities. So that's kind of one of the highest ones on our agenda. We recently just had our first space summit, which you guys obviously attended, with Flanders Investment and Trade, so Belgium. And that was a really good success. It was the first of its kind in the region. We're looking at kind of forming those links with international organisations to develop exports, inward investment opportunities, anything really.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Talk me through the Flanders thing then. What's the association and the link between Yorkshire and a northern part of Belgium?
Yeah, so we've got very similar, I guess, characteristics. It's a very similar size, kind of similar population, so Flanders and Yorkshire itself. And I think the opportunity to work together is quite high because of the need that they've got for the UK's specialist skills. But also, what can we learn from them? They're kind of world leaders in some certain technologies. And using those expertise will just help grow our economy, help grow their economy. And they're also quite handy at getting around some of the Brexit red tape as well. Being based in the region, it does help, and you need those contacts over there to successfully export sometimes. So it's all worthwhile.
Nice. And are there any other sort of regions around the world that you're looking at collaborating with?
Yeah, so I had a call the other day with Queensland in Australia. So they're very interested again in accessing some of the UK's expertise and specifically Yorkshire's. They're very interested in our radio frequency RF cluster that exists in West Yorkshire. That's over 60 companies that are essentially world leaders in their field. And Queensland are kind of looking at how can they take advantage of the UK-Australia space bridge, and maybe can they start getting some companies over there to meet and kind of go to events and stuff like that.
Very exciting.
Well, yeah, we're also kind of just another project that we've bidded for, and hopefully we'll be hearing in the next few weeks. We've bidded to be the UK host, the national host of an Earth observation-based connected capabilities network. And so that's run by, it was funded by the Satellite Applications Catapult. And yeah, it's to host this national network. So it really kind of, again, puts Yorkshire on the map in that case.
Excellent, yeah. I want to touch on some of the work that you guys are doing in academia and research facilities and that sort of stuff around this idea of having a talent pipeline, of engaging with younger kids who ultimately will be working in this sector. What are Space Hub Yorkshire doing sort of at grassroots level and people of a young age, for example?
Yeah, so it's communicating that message. What are the opportunities? Because we've touched already on people don't really know what they are, and even if space exists in Yorkshire, and being able to translate that message to younger audiences, specifically, I guess, in secondary schools, but also sixth form college, and then through to university. We want to promote that space is accessible in Yorkshire, so we'll be doing that through kind of engagement events, reaching out to specific schools themselves to kind of show that we've got these opportunities. It's likely that we will be getting kind of intern positions in the kind of next couple of years, so promoting those as well to either students or kind of people looking for that specific work. And it's really important that you promote the opportunities to when people are young and they haven't kind of decided what career they can go on, because it's a very scary thing to try and change your career. Obviously it's possible, but you kind of feel once people are set on their ways, they keep going on that trajectory. So if we can play any part in showing people the opportunities, then we're happy to.
And a couple of examples of events that we've done recently. One was actually, I think, my second week in the role. So the UK Space Agency sent around a 72-foot rocket around the UK. It was on a grand tour, the Space for Everyone tour. And it came to Bradford and it came to Hull. And so a group of us from Space Hub Yorkshire were there supporting the event and just chatting to it was mostly children who were very interested in, what's Space Hub Yorkshire, what the space kind of sector, the space industry, the space businesses here. I can do a space job here, and so that's kind of what we were talking about, all the opportunities that there are, and hopefully will be.
Absolutely, yeah. It comes back to the awareness thing, doesn't it? People don't know this exists and they're never going to get into it. I was lucky enough to go to see the students at Project Sunride yesterday. They're a very, very enthusiastic student building rockets, and it's really cool to see how enthusiastic they are about it. And long may that continue, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never had opportunities like that when I was at uni. And for them, they're very passionate, and they've been given this opportunity to really develop their skill set and kind of get into industry as well. And I think that's what's important, is students setting themselves apart from the competition in many ways. It's how they get involved in those initiatives within the universities themselves. So.
Yeah, I suppose it's that next step for them as well, making sure that they've got gainful employment in UK or Yorkshire in the space sector, and having that awareness about the jobs here, not losing that talent to the sort of European markets.
Well, that's it. There's been a massive brain drain. We've seen it across the north with all kinds of sectors. So yeah, trying to keep it in Yorkshire and the northern region is a very big passion for us already.
Yeah.
What are the sort of the other sort of partnerships that you guys are developing then with universities or research facilities? Have you got an example of a collaboration that's been a success there?
So in terms of university stuff, we're kind of assessing it at the moment in terms of what skills and capabilities do each university have, and where can we essentially slot in to help promote them or kind of get them more students or get those students into industry. So I was at Huddersfield last week and Hull as well, kind of speaking to them about what do they need from an organisation like Space Hub Yorkshire. And a lot of the time it's connecting with industry. So whether we look to put on collaborative roundtable events to get people speaking to one another, or whether it's as simple as just doing drop-in sessions at the university. was at York University on Monday looking at their Institute for Safe Autonomy. It's an incredible new building, all focused on autonomous vehicles through land, sea and air, so drones, robots, all of this sort of stuff. And you don't really know that these things exist. Mm-hmm. And universities are brilliant at what they do, but they're not the best at shouting about it and communicating it to those students in secondary schools or the businesses that could use their assets. See so many businesses that just instantly go down to the south for resources, or they go overseas. Mm-hmm. And if they can access it in their universities through partnerships we've created, then it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go visit that place already.
Yeah, I'll get you a ticket in there. It's incredible.
Yes, so. Please. What for maybe any students that are watching, what are the sort of typical career paths that they can sort of get involved with and look to?
Oh, so there's a huge variety. So It's really dependent on what the individual person is interested in. Some typical ones, beyond the astronaut and everything like that, you have there's scientists, which is the route that I went down. So I went down physics and then astrophysics before I came here. There's also engineering, all sorts of engineering roles available. So things like mechanical engineering or electrical engineering and software engineering as well, because these require a lot of IT skills to operate. You need a lot of computer programming behind these satellites to be able to function. So kind of beyond that, I mean, there's anything to do with a large project. So you've got project management, you've got kind of any kind of support roles, that kind of thing. And they also go out much further than that. So there's applications, as I kind of mentioned, in kind of utilities and in finance and policy making, space law, all sorts of things. So it's really a wide field, and there's a couple of areas that you can go to get some more information. Spacecareers.uk is a really good resource. It's a non-profit, and it lists a whole variety of different space-related opportunities, and also Space Hub Yorkshire likes to promote opportunities here as well.
Great stuff. We'll put the link here.
Yeah.
If we can. That sounds really interesting. From the sort of the engineering perspective, I'm interested in that. Is the infrastructure here in Yorkshire, and for people to sort of get involved with after university, for example, does that exist?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got world-leading capabilities, really. I mean, you take Sheffield, for example, we've got the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre. You go into Huddersfield, you've got massive capabilities with their ion beam centre, their textiles manufacturing sites. You kind of go to Bradford, you've got the AI centre. Yeah. You go to Hull, you've got physics and computing centres. So knowing that stuff is available for students to access to do potential research projects, but then also for companies to get involved with, is massive. And looking at those career pathways, in our eyes, it obviously makes sense for students to stay and to access these, but sometimes it isn't communicated, and we obviously want to plug those gaps and fill it in. So.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's also the SatSense in Leeds as well, and the RF cluster industry-wise that you kind of mentioned already.
Now, Christina, I've heard that you did a very exciting thing to do with Mars. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I spent 5 years as a member of the science operations team for NASA's Curiosity rover. So Curiosity is one of the robotic spacecraft, one of the little rovers. She's not that little. About the size of a car, so not that little. Exploring Mars, and so I was part of the team that would plan out what she was doing on any given time, on any given day, and using the data that was brought back to find out what was going on in the atmosphere of Mars. So one thing in particular I was doing was taking pictures of a particular section of the crater rim, and from that you can tell how much dust sits between Curiosity and the edge of the crater, which then tells you a little bit about the atmosphere and how essentially the weather, space weather on Mars. So that was something I did for about 5 years, and that was one of the projects that came out of that. And absolutely loved every second of it.
I bet you did. It sounds fascinating. What is the weather like on Mars?
Dusty, cold.
Cold and dusty.
Yeah. Mars actually has 2 seasons. It has a cloudy season and a dusty season. And so we would see clouds in the sky during the cloudy season and a lot of dust. And one of the things that I was part of was taking these pictures throughout what's known as a global dust storm. So about once every 3 Mars years, Mars has a dust storm so big it wraps around the whole planet. And you can see that from pictures that are taken on the Earth, where it looks really, really smooth. And we found that there was about 10 times the amount of dust in the atmosphere than there is usually. And that's the one that was the demise of opportunity. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
And we still want to go there and live, right?
Someone else can.
Not us, though.
I'm happy on Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to touch on the sort of investment and funding opportunities available. Can you sort of touch on that a bit?
Yeah, so one of our main objectives is to increase investment into the region through space or any other means, really, if we can facilitate. And one way we do that is through working with the local authorities, so the LEPs or MCAs, and we kind of work with them to develop their space sector initiatives, but also just to communicate to overseas companies what the opportunities are, and kind of essentially act as a middleman, really, and connecting those overseas opportunities to potential research facilities, so through universities or through kind of companies that they're looking to partner with, or just straight to the local authorities themselves. So the other day I was speaking to an Italian company that's looking to locate in the South Yorkshire region, all to do with airships and that sort of thing. So the interest is here, and it's all about kind of us communicating with them how to get involved and really which specific skill set they might be after. Can we direct them to a more appropriate resource?
And how do people get involved with you guys then?
Yeah, so the best way really is to get us on LinkedIn. That's kind of where we share a lot of opportunities, whether that be jobs or kind of funding opportunities. And we've got a central inquiry email as well, which will hopefully be along the screen on my side or your side, whichever side. And yeah, just reach out any questions. We're more than happy to talk to all areas of kind of industry, whatever company you're in. If you're a university wanting to get in touch or learn more, if you're a student and wanting to know more about how to develop yourself and get into the space industry, that's what we're here for. No question is stupid either. My technical knowledge of space is very low, so I'm the one normally asking the stupid questions, but it's all interesting, and it's every day's a school day. The more you can learn about the opportunities, but also kind of where you can fit into the sector is brilliant. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and definitely just to highlight again that LinkedIn is really the best bet for kind of finding out about any events we're doing or anything that might be relevant to a person, an individual, a company, an organisation, anything like that, because we always promote through that.
Great. Well, just to challenge our marketing team, we'll put the link here and here, so people will be navigated there quite easily. So I want to finish on a positive note then. I wonder if you could sort of touch on what the future looks like for the space sector in Yorkshire.
Yes, I mean, if I kind of flip it and say 5 years ago, space clusters didn't exist, and we didn't exist as an organisation. So already in those 5 years, we've seen massive acceleration of the UK government's interest in the space sector regionally, and not just focus on those kind of land areas. So I think that the sky's the limit in many ways, and we can go further than that because the accelerations in technology, it's all happening in Yorkshire. The capabilities universities have, they're constantly kind of creating new courses related to the space sector, opening new buildings like the Institute for Safe Autonomy. So there's massive opportunity, and I think now is a good time to start getting involved in it if kind of students are interested or companies are interested, because there's loads of funding out there, and international companies want UK expertise. They know where the strengths are, and yeah, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and the space sector is excuse me. The space sector is predicted to just grow in the UK as we're kind of promoting it, and the space clusters, kind of the regional space clusters, have done a lot for making sure that that regions outside of the centralised ones definitely get those opportunities as well.
Good.
So.
Well, you've painted a really exciting time for the space sector, and it's all happening in Yorkshire. How exciting. I want to thank Felix and Christina for coming on. It's been really, really good to chat about space and keep it in Yorkshire, something we're very passionate about. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.